My next question comes from Debbie Horton. If elected, how would you communicate with the local community to keep people updated on local issues and opportunities? And I'm going to ask Jeremy to respond first, please.
Sorry, I'm just making a note. Keep people updated on local issues and what's going on, essentially. Yeah. Well, thanks, Debbie, for that question. I mean, as some people will know, some people won't. I mean, I've been doing that for years in Levenshulme through the as secretary of the Levenshulme Community Association. Not only does that bring together groups across the community so that they can share experience and understanding and knowledge and any problems that are coming up, but also actually we run the website and we run the social media to really share information of anything that's going on in Levenshulme, whether that's positive or negative. It's about what's going on in Levenshulme. Also, I mean, I'll give you an example of that. Last year, when the pandemic first hit and the lockdown happened, it was notable that the Manchester City Council website had no information on it. I mean, even despite Richard Leese, the leader of the council, being the health representative on Greater Manchester Combined Authority, and the City Council website had very limited information on it. It kind of linked to the government website, and that was about it. So what I did was I drew in lots of information from across government websites, from across medical agencies, from across the NHS, and collated that together onto the Levenshulme Community Association website. So it's about communication and actually being effective about that, being a point of reference so that people know that they can find information easily, and networking across groups so that you know who to contact and you can share that information. So I mean, I have many years experience doing this, and I mean, I would never claim to be a professional at it, but I do my best, and I would continue to do my best to share the information. The advantage, if elected, in terms of being a councillor, is to be able to draw on additional support and resources from the council, and also hold the council to account and say, well, if I can do this, then why is the council not doing that? Why is there not more information out there? So it's about networking the groups, it's about providing information, it's about being open and accessible, and it's about understanding the community and understanding what's going on in the community, because sometimes it's hard to find out what's going on, and groups get siloed, and sharing that information for everybody to make it publicly accessible, to celebrate what's going on in Levenshulme and the multiple groups that are around Levenshulme that are doing marvelous work, is really important. And not just the groups, but also the activities, the businesses, all sorts of things. And one last thing I'll mention is that you know, one of our lockdown activities was to create a Levenshulme community directory through the community association, which lists religions, lists faiths in the area and faith organisations. It lists facilities, it lists businesses, it lists community groups, to provide a readily accessible resource for everybody to be able to access and find out what's going on.
Thank you. Thank you. Zahid, would you like to respond on the same question, please?
Yeah, thank you, Debbie, for that question. I think during the lockdowns, it's been really important, and our people have suffered a lot in terms of their mental health, and isolation has grown. And even though we live in a really connected world in some ways, with our smartphones and the social media, it seems that more and more people feel lonelier, and it's harder to get to the real information. It's not that we don't have information, it's usually too much information. It's not the right information. It's not what we actually want to know, what we really need to know. I think from our perspective, say as a Labour Party, normally we knock on it all year round, and you know, we share information at the door, and it's been much more difficult obviously with the pandemic, with social distancing and all the rest of it. But I think it's, you know, if the question is how can we make sure that more and more people know what's happening, I think we have to look at the issues that some people are really good at accessing information, and some people just remain completely isolated. And I think we're really good to take some kind of a consultation to find out how where the issues lie. When neighbours know that they haven't seen such and such a person for a few days, and they can knock on. We need to have something in place. I mean, we have a lot of information that is in the libraries and in GP surgeries and so on. And I think that we need to do more to be able to get, particularly to those people who are more isolated, who don't access that information, and also about the right information at the right time. People feel quite powerless at times. What do I do about the bins again, or the fly tipping? And honestly, the reality is that people don't always know. You can just go straight onto the local website and report it on the city council. But by the same token, there's people who don't access the internet at all, or don't have a fast internet, or it's metered in some way. So, I mean, what can we do? I think we need to think hard about where the issues lie. Where do people get local information from? Usually from the shops, libraries, GP surgeries, but also about maybe even identifying local neighbours who are maybe the kind of port of control in terms of information. When do you sense community? Is when you know what's happening in your community, is when people are talking to each other. That's what you want. And I think what we're feeling is that there are many, many people who don't have access to that. They're so isolated that they may go even months without meeting a person or even talking to one. And I think if you really want to make sure that Levenshulme becomes the kind of exemplar of a community, how it should be, then it's about us really thinking hard about how do we reach the people who are hard to reach. Now, I speak many languages, and over the last few weeks while we've been campaigning, I've got to speak quite a few of them. But you know what? There's more languages that I couldn't speak. And that's testimony to the diversity of Levenshulme. And I think we have to understand that sometimes if you don't have information in another language, people can't access it. And it's not always in a kind of a language spoken in the country, but also sign language, people who can't hear or see. And it's like, how do we access all the range, the diversity, the communication that is needed to be able to connect with all the people of Levenshulme? I don't know if that answers your question, but I think that communication is central to how we make communities stronger.
Thanks, Zahid.